Hello and welcome into the Credible Vets Report. My name is Craig Slate, as it always has been. And joining me today is my co-host, Matt Mandel, and I'm pretty sure that's always been his name as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. This episode we'll be updating you on our weather watch because we are lovers of the weather. And we'll be keeping an eye out on... Oh, I'm sorry. We're not only just keeping an eye. Apparently, we're in the eye of the storm. We are in the eye of the storm because it's peak hurricane season. Plus, the USDA is celebrating new back-to-school meal option stemming from the Biden administration. And a discovery center for new breeds of fruits has set up shop, and you may want to keep an eye on that, friend. We'll discuss all of this and much more. So welcome to the show, and welcome, Matt. Welcome back from the beautiful beaches of Hawaii. And hello.
I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm tan. I don't know if you can see. I actually have a slight sunburn on the top of my head. No amount of sunscreen can keep this shiny bald head from getting a little too much sun. But here I am, happy to be back. I enjoy my time there. Kids at the beach have far more energy than I do. That's a good summary of the trip, and we'll leave it at that. But it was a good time.
Well, you do look golden. You do have a golden glow about you. You know,
I think it's the lighting. We have early afternoon light.
Yeah, maybe that's bad. I don't know.
How do I tilt my head to get that nice glow off the top of my head?
You should get you like a helmet tanner. That way you can just keep that beautiful glow. You just get that
all year long. Just
keep it nice and golden.
I've never been an artificial tanner, but
so it was sunny apparently for part of the time you were there, but you were going into a storm of some sort. How was that? Was that anything?
One had just passed when we landed. Brought a decent amount of rain, and while we were there, the storm, I think it was Gilma, brought a little bit of rain while we were there on Friday, which was actually a nice reprieve. The weather was warmer than expected for the most of the time, so that little bit of rain in the afternoon drove a lot of people away, and I'm not a big fan of people, so no crowds. Hawaii, that was nice. All good.
Fabulous. Well, good to have you back, sir. Glad are back here in the on I guess the mainland. They would say it's not like you went away to another country or anything. Just
I was
feels
not in
like
another country, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. So, but speaking of storms and hurricanes, we checked in with the old National Hurricane Center, and apparently they're tracking some storms over there in the Atlantic. All three, I guess, according to the report that I'm looking at, there's 3 storms out in the Atlantic. They potentially become tropical depressions into the weekend, bringing disorganized showers and disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Are showers? Are they typically organized?
Yeah, there's actually a smoky back room where they collude with one another. So that's how they typically organize. They didn't have time. Hoping somebody brings sandwiches, but
just random. That's like they didn't make any planning, I guess. So
just random storms, exactly.
But this, of course, was. So tell me what is it? What's up with these storms? Apparently, it's going to bring some rain to Texas, Louisiana, some of those areas, some of the East Coast. Is that factual?
So of the 3 systems that are out in the Atlantic right now, the one that has the most potential to actually possibly turn into a tropical storm and or maybe a hurricane is developing in between the Yucatan and mainland Mexico right now. Depending on how quickly it moves will determine whether or not it actually turns into a hurricane or not. There's another one just off the southeast U.S., probably won't bring too much rain. And then the one that is further out into the Atlantic right now is on a trajectory to come across the Caribbean. So depending on how much speed, power, and precipitation it picks up while over the ocean will determine whether or not that actually turns into an organized storm. So we'll keep our eye on that, but sometime in the next 7 to 10 days, there definitely will be a significant amount of precipitation coming to the Gulf Coast looking like it's probably going to be mainly over Texas, and then the residuals will move mainland, unless it does, of course, turn into a hurricane, at which point in time it's anybody's guess which direction it goes.
I got to check in on my amigos down in South Texas. I mean, it seems like they've had some rain. They've got so many storms. I got to see where that water level's at. So hopefully that's, although there was a report, a couple of weeks back that came out about they're still got issues and having to dig up trees and everything else over there. So no, got to check in with them, see how the water levels are and if any of these storms are helping out.
It's probably still hotter than balls over there, but
yeah. Well, but that's standard.
Texas, right?
Ball hot. All right.
I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
Well, okay, I won't use it again. But speaking of hot, so in this hurricane thing, there's this thing that there's something Saharan dust that's been keeping things under control, but apparently the Saharan dust is starting to clear, and with that, apparently that increases tropical waves from Africa, which lends to 2024's hurricane season. Matt, do you know anything about Saharan dust?
I don't know much.
That's not a part. That's not a party. That's not a party favor.
I was going to make that joke. You beat me to it. But I have friends that are intimately, they're intimate with the Saharan dust. But so for those uninitiated, basically all the storms that end up over the Atlantic and come into the southeastern United States, whether it be a depression, a tropical storm, or a hurricane, they do actually initiate over Africa. So because the Saharan dust has prevented these airflows from forming, the first half of the season was, let me take it back. The very front end of the hurricane season was actually far more active than expected. And then we're kind of in this lull, but now moving into mid-September, it's what's considered peak hurricane season. And the forecast right now is that it's going to be 2 to 3 times as active as an average hurricane season. So whatever that Saharan dust was doing, it seems to have some pent up rage, which kind of happens when you're on the Saharan dust, I've heard. So all of that energy is going to be sailing out across the Atlantic, and we'll see over the next month or two just how much activity it brings. But the forecast is for quite a bit.
All right. Well, we'll look and see how that goes, and we'll stay tuned, as they say. But hey, stay in tune. I think it's basketball hot there in Arizona. Is that correct? I mean, that's what you were referring to when you said ball's hot. You were talking about basketball,
yes,
right?
Well, it's football season just started last night, so
so it's football hot.
That's what football hot exactly. We had some nice 90-degree days, and then all of a sudden yesterday it jumped up to 109. So there are some heat waves, especially on the West Coast. It's looking like it's actually going to cool off a little on the East Coast. Southeast will probably stay a little warm, but the Northeast and Midwest are definitely looking to be slightly cooler than average. Excuse me, slightly cooler than average over the next week or two. So that should bring some relief to those folks if they've been feeling the heat, which the time I was up there, it certainly was not hot. But for those of us on the West Coast, we can continue to barbecue outside for a very, very long time.
All right. Well, very good. I was in Dallas yesterday, and I was shocked how nice the weather was because they've been talking about how bad it was, but apparently it broke like on Wednesday, so I just missed the fun heat.
You brought the nice weather with you.
I brought it with me. That's what I did for them. I brought that out there. Well, hey, man, there's an old tune I used to sing about this time of year.
You got Craigie Okie again.
Craigie Okie. School is back in session. That was an old favorite of mine.
It's a little different than the one I remember, but that's you can keep going if you want. I can try to
Yeah, no.
cue up some
Well,
music
yeah,
for you.
I did sing that song, but I was usually singing at the end. But I thought, you know what? It's more appropriate to say school is back in session because school is back in session and ringing in the new school year, Matt, with fresh meal options. Our good friends at the USDA, they have joined with the U.S. Department of Education along with the school and parent meal planner organization to serve more protein-rich breakfast foods such as yogurt, eggs, nuts, etc., and buy local foods to provide healthier options to schools across the country. Now, they left out a key ingredient to a healthy meal in that. I mean, protein, it's important, but you can get protein from, vegetables, romaine lettuce. I'm pretty sure you can get protein from that.
You can. I thought you were going to say they're missing Saharan dust for the school breakfast, but
Yeah, well,
uh,
that was when I grew up. We had that when I was a kid.
I think fruits and vegetables are likely still on the menu, but I think they're just trying to push some of these more protein forward foods. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, protein is still available in fruits and vegetables as well, and I hope they continue to be on the menu and not pushed off to the side in favor of these other foods.
Yeah,
We'll see
no,
how
no
it goes.
they're honestly at the government level and really around the country, there's been continued effort to move away from the old standard American diet and move to actually something that's not a not terrible, right? And actually move it to some fruits and vegetables and get away from some of the recommendations and things that they had. But they're also on the school side of it. The Biden and the Harris administration, they've been trying to advance, free healthy school meals. The USDA has dished out $13.7 billion in an effort since January of 2021 to try and push for better meals, more school meals. I know from when we were in DC earlier in the year, there was, they're trying to allow more funds to be available to get, healthier produce items and things like that, and not have so much processed foods and added sugars and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I give it a hard time that they listed only the proteins, but in all honesty, the government's actually doing somewhat better than what they did when I was a kid in the '70s, for sure.
I mean, it's they'd be hard pressed to probably do worse than a lot of the foods that they had in school when we were running
Yeah,
around through there. But I think there's more than a few studies out there that show that kids learn better and retain information better when they're not hungry, right? And
yeah.
so by being able to provide this nutrition at school, yeah, I think it's a great move. I think it's good for both kids that may not be getting the adequate nutrition at home, but also I think it's good for the education system as a whole. In that, hopefully, these kids will be learning more and better without being hungry at school.
They should actually make listening to this show a required part of their education program. I'm going to see if I can hit
Is that going to be
administration
nap
up.
time?
Hey now, quit that. Speaking of groceries, speaking of free food, speaking of cost of food, I don't know. Speaking of food, let's just say that. Apparently, we have opined a couple of different times about the cost of inflation. But Matt, the U.S. shoppers are more confident in their ability to afford groceries today. The Return to Routine report found that 39% of shoppers said they are concerned about being able to afford food than they need. But 39% is down from 42% back in July and August of last year. So moving in the right direction. Last couple of years, it's been coming down. So I don't know. It looks like there is some relief at the grocery store. What do you think?
Um, I mean, I haven't necessarily felt it myself, but I think consumer sentiment is just as important as the reality of what's going on. When people feel that they can afford more groceries or feel that their dollar is going further, then it'll make them more likely to return to shopping on a more regular basis, right? And you want those consistent consumers. Obviously, the foods, especially in our space, the product itself still has to delight the consumers to get them coming back. But when people feel more confident in their ability to shop, I think people will be eating out less and preparing more foods at home.
Yeah. Well, and just in case, if you needed some credibility around it, our good friend Ricky Volpe, he's a PhD. You and I hang out with Rick all the time, and you know,
Ricky.
he he's over at the Cal Polytech State University, and he put out a report that food price inflation has moderated and continued to moderate. It is forecasted to decrease even more going into 2025. Hey, but Matt, that doesn't mean that we should expect food prices on average to go down. That just means they're not going to go up quite as fast.
Yep. Well, and we've talked about the signs of inflation easing over the last few shows, and the job report came out this morning. It wasn't quite what people had expected, and it's looking like the Fed is definitely going to cut interest rates. So all of this should be a good sign for consumers at the grocery level. But yeah, hopefully the rise in costs will be somewhat moderated over the near
So
future.
I didn't see the jobs report. What was you got the quickie on that?
I don't have it in front of me, but it wasn't great.
It was
It
not
was
great.
it was not it was definitely not good. It was not horrible, but it pretty much confirmed that the Fed will be cutting rates. I guess the question remains is how many basis points they'll actually cut. There's a lot of people that are actually pushing for a full 0.5%. I don't know. The couple stories I read did not make it sound like that was imminent or likely, but the chatter is definitely there from people saying, "Hey, everything has finally started to cool off. Let's get these interest rates back under control."
Yeah, my bet's 50.
You think so?
Yeah, they're gonna set their hair on fire. They'll freaking go 50. Like I say, they'll knee
They,
jerk
they,
it all
they
the
don't
way.
do anything in moderation, right?
No, they'll freaking yeah.
See,
Anyway,
the only reason I think it's going to be
that's what I'd
25.
really like to. We get on this call. I could just really just riff on the freaking Fed, but I'm not gonna do that.
I want it to be 50, but I think it's going to be 25 because they've signaled for a long time that they were going to make a cut. But they also don't want to look partisan ahead of the election, and they figure if they do a big rate cut, then that's going to look positive on the current administration, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they will actually have a little bit of moderation in the cut this month. However, I think come into December they may be a little more aggressive, especially if they go back and revise the numbers down the way that they had. What was it last month when they said, "Oh, by the way, we were kind of off by about 1 million jobs over a 4-month period."
Oops.
It's
Dang it.
not a big deal. Details,
Yeah,
details.
million here, million there. It's not a big deal. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. My bet's on the 50, so we'll see how it pans out. But they always do more than they should, whichever way they're going. So, hey, avocados, buddy. The avocado
Green gold.
folks. Oh my goodness! And it's football time, right? So I mean, I've already had 10 avocados in the last couple of days just thinking about football. I'm just consuming them. But $2.7 billion category in 2024 for the old green gold, man. That's a big number. Um, and majority of these dudes are right straight out of Mexico. You know, the majority of what we're getting in the United States, that's where it comes from. That's kind of the preference. I mean, California is still 90% of the U.S. production, or it's done U.S. wise, but they couldn't handle the size that category has gotten. You know, it requires Mexico, Peru, Colombia, everybody now just to participate. So.
Well, not 9 out of every 10 avocados consumed in the U.S. comes from Mexico. And while I will go ahead and say they do a fantastic job, in regulating what does come up. You can't discount what the avocados from Mexico has done from an advertising standpoint, and creating a brand outside of any one individual company or producer. So they've they put some things in place to really build that category up, and the results are definitely there.
Indeed, yeah. Hats off to those guys. I mean, it's such a tasty fruit. You can't, it's one of those deals. Very few people you find that don't like either avocados or guacamole or something. I mean, you're in a narrow band that does not like that fruit. So
the few people I have met that don't like avocados is because they're allergic to it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, outside of the avocados, we're seeing the start of a new trend that may bear some fruit rather sooner rather than later. And our folks over at the Bloom Fresh unveiled the Discovery Center for Breeding. Now, so these guys, so it's a $14 million breeding campus over in McFarland, California. And just interesting article, interesting read. We're not going to get all into the details, but it's primarily for the grape industry. But they're able to grow in these controlled environments, special variety grapes, and test them out, before somebody goes and plants up a big area, waits three years before they get to harvest. It's like, oh, these suck. And then you got to start back over.
I've never had that experience myself, but yeah, I can imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's in a nutshell, that's kind of what they're doing. But it's a pretty impressive 28,000 square foot laboratory facility. 150 acres of test vineyards, 25,000 square foot of greenhouses. Yeah, pretty cool deal.
I mean, it's pretty. What I really hope is that they're going to focus on a broader flavor profile rather than just going how high can we hammer the bricks on these fruits, because I mean I think they went a little too far in that direction in my opinion. Cotton candy grapes are good, and then you have the jelly gummies or fruit gummy bears, and it's like how much sweeter can we make these things, to the point that you might as well just be taking a spoonful of table sugar.
Exactly.
I'm happy that people are eating more fruit, but there's got to be more to it than just how sweet can we make them.
And you, boy, you're going to get me off of my soapbox. Yeah, because they literally they've bred all the fiber out of the fruit, right? All the nutrients. You're no longer eating fruit. You basically are getting a sugar. It's basically sugar water is what you're getting encased in a fruit casing. And so I'm with you 100%. Now we'll say this: I don't know who it was. It was just a container, but Tanya bought some grapes at a convenience store. And these were I guess probably red flames. I mean, or some version of a red flame. Dude, they were just like they had enough sweetness, but they had a little bite to it. You could tell it was like an original kind of variety grape, right? It was one of the OG, root stock or whatever. I don't know, but I'm 100% with you. It's like you can't breed all the good stuff out just to give them a cookie. For God's sakes.
Do we sound like boomers talking about the varieties back in my day? So much.
Yeah, we do.
I've said my piece, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah, well,
fruit doesn't need to be overly sweet to get people to eat it.
Okay. I agree with you there, sir. Well, hey, Elon Musk has done it again, Matt. So Elon is on his way to Mars. And
is he in that Tesla that's floating around up in space right now?
Yes, he's taking his Tesla. He's going to Mars. He's got to save some astronauts on the way up. But in the meantime, apparently he's got a space tomato. Was it Elon? He's first space tomato grown in tomatoes harvested early in 2025. Was that Elon that did that?
He may lay claim to that, but I'm going to go ahead and say it was his government-backed rival in NASA.
Oh, God! I thought I read that was Matt.
He will gladly take credit for it, but it was NASA who was finalizing a plan to grow tomatoes in space. I mean, we've seen in the past they've grown other very small plants and items, but this is going to be um, a step up from the lettuces that they've done in the past. So whether or not growing something in space is going to translate to being able to grow anything better down here on Earth with the rest of us mere mortals, I don't know. But if we, as a species, continue to look to the stars and hope to one day be floating around this bright green and blue globe that we all live on, they will need to be able to figure out food in space. And so NASA appears to be attacking that challenge.
Now you're a traveler, and so
not to outer space, not yet.
So let's say because you're still a relatively young guy, they might set up a camp or a little vacation spot up on the moon. Let's say we don't have to go to Mars. Let's just go to the moon because we've been there. People stomp around up there. So if you had the opportunity to go to the moon and check it out, would you go?
Not on the first flight. But, yeah, I definitely would. I think that would be rad.
Yeah. I don't know. I also thought that same thing till those folks got stuck on that space station. And I'm like, oof.
That's what happens when you trust Boeing to take you to outer space.
Yeah.
We've seen what they can do here on Earth.
My God.
Why would you trust them to take you to space?
Amen to that. So, oh my goodness. Anyway, yeah, the tomatoes look great. I'm sure after eating all those heat 'em up Herbies, those dried fruit or those dried meals, a good old fresh cherry tomato, a cherry bomb or whatever is a nice respite from the freeze dried food that they sent you up there with. So I can get it.
Ice cream.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, good. Well, you know what? We're set. When they take us off to the moon, we'll be eating cherry tomatoes up on the moon. Maybe hell, you know what? Maybe Sunfed will be marketing some cherry tomatoes on the moon. Maybe that's the future.
Perfect space squash.
Perfect. Ooh, like it. All right. Well, look, let's get into some of those squash and the things that are still here on Earth. We are knocking on the door of the fall. Not only is it college football, not only is the NFL kicking off, but by golly, Sunfed and squash. It's about to kick off, Matt.
We are knocking on the door of our fall season. I don't know where the summer went, but we're gonna be starting back up here in Arizona in 10 days. We'll be selling our first product. So goodbye summer, hello fall. It's time to do it all over again.
Indeed. Maybe another reason, that's another thing. Maybe that's another reason we get so excited this time of year. I mean, it's like for us, right? It's like the college and it's like for us, it's like a new season. We're ready. It's freaking world champions, right?
Are you saying you're Andy Reid, or is that you going for a three-peat here?
Pick a healthier guy, though, would you? Is there somebody? So somebody told me the other day, right? I'm on the pickleball court, and somebody I didn't know. He's like, oh my God. He's like, who you remind me of? I was like, no. He's like, Jesus, your mannerisms. You're like freaking Pete Carroll out there. And I'm like, I'm thinking, oh, really? I mean, I didn't say this because I don't know the guy, but of all the guys that you could have said, I have mannerisms. I'm like, maybe I do. And then I felt really bad because I'm not really a big Pete Carroll fan.
Yeah, so. that makes two of us, but I mean, there are definitely worse people you could have been, reminded the guy of. So
yeah, well, exactly. Well, my man, I told him, yeah, I kind of have a little bit of a hyper energy about me. He's like, yeah, but not in a bad way. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure it's not in a bad way. Just like Pete Carroll's.
At least he didn't call you a Jerry Jones.
Well, yeah, that's true. That would have been worse for sure. So, although I like Jerry, but I wouldn't want to be like, wouldn't want somebody to say I look like him. Let's just go with that. So
fair enough.
Anyway, but the season's here. We're ready to go. Squash market September, right? So September brings all sorts of things, typically high markets across most everything around the board. Squash in particular, because the reason we're starting is because most of the domestic stuff it's with weather and time of year, it's getting tired. And so they're heading out and the new kids are
Transition
coming
time.
on. It is transition time. So how's the squash market look right now? What are you seeing out there?
We're still hanging tough in double digits, 10 to 12 on the squash. I see some cracks in the foundation right now. I hope it's just temporary. Movement did slow down a little bit. Quality seems, obviously in a transition time period, you're going to get some questionable quality out there. There's definitely deals to be had. I've seen anywhere $6 to $8 on some squash that I was told, no, go ahead, take it, but don't take it past LA. So, well, you're limiting my options here, so I'm going to go ahead and pass. But with the new crop coming up, I think that should give us a nice little bounce and rebound in the markets, and we'll see. Cucumbers kind of in the same boat. They've been strong and probably stronger than normal over the last month or so, and it seems that they've kind of settled down a little bit. Hear rumblings that they will continue to come back down to earth a little bit over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And being a buyer in that market right now, it couldn't come fast enough. But right now, supers are still, I should say, good quality supers that'll travel are getting harder to come by. But you're still up in the $24, $26 range at a minimum. There's still people out there trying to get 28s and 30s. I don't think the market's there though.
So all you folks that are booking your winter contracts now, take a look at these prices. This is the new normal. So just in case there's anybody that's working on contracts, it's going to be north of 20 on those contracts in a big way. So don't be pressing your suppliers.
It really ought to be, but that's a separate conversation.
Just saying, I predict it. I'm just going out with a prediction. So anyway, we got out there green bell pepper market. It has come in a bit. That's finally back down below 20 out on the green bells. Quality's been really pretty good. A lot of California stuff in right now. Starting to rock on the green bells, and so it's gotten back into its normal space. I mean, it's not cheap. It's in the space where it's a fair price. You see, you getting excited over there. Call out the dog. Who let the dogs out?
Craigie continues.
Who let the dogs out? So he's a regular. What's the name of your dog?
Well, that was actually my wife's dog. My dog is far better behaved. My dog Boba Fetch. He's a very well behaved dog. My wife's dog.
Boba Fetch. Oh my God, you and the Star Wars. I think you might be sick.
Well, I am sick on several levels, but
well, he makes an appearance every week. I don't know if you know, but I mean, he makes an appearance every week. At least his tail does. It's great. It's a classic. So
he was out here earlier nudging the ball at my foot, and I was like, get away.
But anyway, bell peppers, that market's good. Hot pepper deal looks like it's pretty normal. Jalapenos anywhere from 14 to 16. Caribbees, Anaheims, all pretty much in the normal somewhere in those mid to upper teen numbers. And tomato deal. It got it's still pretty fairly pricey, but it's kind of like grocery store prices. Tomato deal, at least it's not going up.
Well, it's not going up as fast as it was. Oh, I'm sorry, that was grocery prices. Sorry,
that was grocery prices. Yeah. So, but anyway, I mean, across the markets, like I say, it is September. We are in pretty much transition, and things look to be set up. Looks like it's going to be a good season. I'm super excited this time of year for multiple things, right?
Yes, sir.
I can't wait until the Cowboys take the field on Sunday, and all of a sudden, they renew the hope of all the faithful.
It's all right. You're going to the Super Bowl, right? It's
Yeah,
your
of
year. It's
course.
your year.
Everybody's asking if Lamb's going to start. It's like, does it really matter if he starts? He started
The
last
answer
year.
is no. And yeah, we'll see. Who do you have week 1?
Honestly, I don't even know.
Oh
That's
man.
a God's honest truth. Aggies had to endure the Notre Dame game last week. I mean, they put up a good fight, but yeah, no, I'm kind of I'm mostly focused on fantasy football. I'm trying not to turn my attention to the Cowboys because don't want to get my hopes up. So yeah, don't know.
Well,
I'll turn it on.
got
I'll watch
the
the game. I'll
Cleveland
watch the
Browns.
game, but yeah. So there you go,
Cleveland
Cleveland
Browns.
Browns. So
And we got dog action in the background again.
we love it. Bring in more guests, Matt. I mean, I think people will tune in for dogs, right?
Yeah.
If they know
The
Boba Fett is
dogs
going
are
to,
definitely cuter than I am, for sure.
yeah, if they know Boba Fett's tail is going to come through, they may just tune in for the Boba Fett moment, And so, whatever we got to do to bring you guys in, we're going to do it right here on the Credible Vegetable Report. There you go. And I think that's our sign for time to go, boys. I think that's what he's saying. So, all right, Matt, another good time. Another good time. And
another good show in the
yes,
books, as they say.
And you know what? I love you too. As your sign says back there. I just realized all the time we've been shooting this show. First time I saw it says I love you. So that's very nice of you to have that posted all the time. So
it's here just for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a great background. But anyway, have yourself a fabulous weekend, sir. We're recording this a little late this week, so have a nice weekend. We will ideally catch you back at the regular station or regular bat time, regular bat station next week.
Go Lions.
Go Cowboys. Go Aggies. Aggies ain't playing nobody this week, or they're playing a small team, so they should do good. Anyway, everybody, what's that?
I said they better.
Yeah, so everybody have a great weekend. Thank you all very much. Please like us, love us, call us, come see us. Anyway, listen to the show. Take care. We're out of here. Adios, Matt.
Bye.